Dear students, let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 19th December 2016. The first article, The Unmaking of Parliament. In this article, we need to understand few things. What is direct democracy and representative democracy? And then, what are the differences between a representative and a civil society? And finally, why the parliament and its space is decreasing in our democracy. So, these are the three fundamental questions we need to get into. The first, Rousseau, he has always proposed for direct democracy. So, according to him, the general will of the people will be represented by themselves. So, there is no scope for the intermediary. But, however, in a complex society such as India, this is not possible. We need to have only the representative democracy. What is the logic of the representative democracy? You know that in any democracy, the primary unit of the political activity is a citizen, and citizen has to be represented in the representative institutions, that is legislature. In this case, the representative who is representing the people, he shall be representing their interest rather than his interest. And the second is, it is expected that the citizen shall have a control over the representative. So, in this schema of the things, you can clearly state that theoretically, the citizen through elections controls the representative, and representative conducts deliberations in such a way that it will benefit the citizen and the collective interest of the society. So, the control of the legislature over the executive and the deliberations to provide for a framework for policy implementation, and everything is based on this notion. But however, as the deliberations in these institutions becomes weak, obviously the citizens' trust on the representatives is decreasing, and representative role in the legislature is also coming down. Executive control is coming down. So the deliberations are the key part. So if you observe, in the Republic, the Plato says this way. The Plato's Republic, Socrates says this way. The deliberations representing the different viewpoints is the most important thing, how we as a collective shall live. And if you see the Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru's word, he called his majesty, or else the parliament's majesty, lies in the deliberations. And according to him, there is no much greater responsibility than representing the humankind. So it means the deliberations shall take the shape or shall provide for the direction to the country. Now, if we see again the Motilal Nehru's report in 1928, it clearly states that every citizen shall be politically active, and this political activeness of the citizen comes through his experience, and this experience can only happen through his participation. It means that the politics is a very serious activity that shall be left alone to the professional politicians. Every citizen shall be a participant to the political activity. So, the disruptions have led to undermining of this political authority and political institutions, which is not in good spirit of the democracy. And then bridging the learning deficit. You know that in India, there is a huge learning deficit in terms of the school dropout rates and poor learning outcomes, and also world pedagogues and not representing the interests of the present day students and children. So, in this case, I will say a few things. If we compare the Vietnam and Thailand, the learning outcomes are much better compared to India. This is what the UNESCO report says. So, what might be the reason? Previously, we have cited mainly the supply chain problems. Today, it is more related to the quality of delivery. Our curriculum did not change for almost 2 decades, and the learning tools are absent. And many of the students who are falling back, these are not being given any special attention because our curriculum is very overloaded in the early ages. Let's take a 5-year-old child. So you will have a curriculum of 7-year-old child, and then if he is unable to catch up, then he will be left over, and the process moves on. It means if he gets into the sixth class, whatever the fallbacks which are there in the fifth class, they are expected to continue. So this is what is being rectified in Vietnam. So that India also has to do the same, and we have to bring in activity-based learning and also teaching at the right level. These are the two steps that make or that improve the quality of learning in India. And other issues such as teacher absenteeism and revision of the curriculum from time to time and providing for basic facilities to the girl children. These also can improve the retention of the child at the school. And the midday meal program, yes, it has got a remarkable difference in Tamil Nadu for retaining the children at the school and also to improve their learning outcomes, as nutrition is a critical ingredient for the children to learn. And coming to UPA's real growth story, this article, it is in response to the Manmohan Singh's article and also then the Guru Swami's reply. So what the Guru Swami said is, during the Manmohan Singh era, there is a jobless growth, and in this context, the growth is due to the asset bubble. He tried to correlate the growth and the asset bubble and joblessness, and he compared that with the 2004 to or else the Vajpayee era 1999 to 2004. So this article by Mr. Rajiv Gowda clearly states that the growth and asset bubble, yes, they are related, but they cannot be correlated. It means, yes, if there is an increase in growth, the asset prices are bound to increase. When there is an increase in growth in proportion to that, the cash will also increase. So India is no way different from China or United States of America in rise in high denomination value currency in proportion to the economic growth. And added to that, the jobs created during UPA era are much higher compared to the NDA era. In UPA, we have to see the difference between job and employment. So, Mr. Guruswamy article tries to talk about employment, which also includes self-employment in agriculture. The jobs which mean the formal paid salaried jobs we need to consider. If we take that into consideration, yes, Manmohan Singh's era also has brought in a huge rise in the jobs. That is what is the argument that is put forward. And it is about reforming the BCCI. Now, the sports bodies in India are filled with corruption. We need a blueprint how they need to be reformed. Whatever the Supreme Court is trying to do with BCCI, it will provide for the necessary blueprint for the reform of the sports authorities in India. Let's come to the Indian Express. Let us see the new channel as an article. It talks about interstate river water disputes. As per the Article 262 of the Constitution, the Parliament is the authority to adjudicate on the interstate river water disputes. It is kept away from the Supreme Court, outside the purview of the Supreme Court. So, as per this, Interstate River Water Disputes Act was passed, and then a tribunal has to be appointed to resolve the interstate river water disputes if any of the party requests the center to do that. So, what is the major complaint about these tribunals? They never give their awards on time. And second, the Supreme Court, though excluded from this, if there is, they cannot deny the award of the tribunals as its award is final. But the tribunal's award can be interpreted by the Supreme Court. And the major problem is non-availability of the water data in India. So to solve these two issues, the Interstate River Water Disputes Act is about to be amended. In this amendment, they want to establish a permanent tribunal in the place of ad hoc tribunals for different river water disputes. And added to that, the new agency will collect a water data on a permanent basis. So, interbasin flows, irrigation, rainfall, and regular water in various dams in India, everything will be maintained. Then, a rational analysis can be brought on the water sharing once the water data comes or becomes available. No one took notes. What is this article is about? Yes, demonetization according to this is a ill-conceived move because Raghuram Rajan once said that yes, the rich people will find the ways to get around this particular move. And now the narrative of the government is changing from day to day. It also shows that it has not planned well. There is no scenario building exercise in this. Because of this, initially it was said as a fight against black money. Later it was said to collect the information and data on money in circulation. And today it is talking about cashless societies. So all this shows that it's an ill-planned move. Now, let's come to this. What is meant by mitochondrial replacement therapy? Now, remember this point. The mitochondria consists of DNA, And if any disease in this DNA, it will be transmitted from the mother to the child. It means any offspring of the mother who has got a defective mitochondrial DNA, all the children 100% they will be getting the disease. So in this case, this mitochondria DNA will be removed and replaced with good mitochondria from another woman. So it means a fertilized ovum consists of nucleus from one mother, mitochondria from another woman, and then it will be a sperm from the man. So it means two mothers and one father. This is what we call it as three-parented baby. So UK is the first country which has recognized the three parents to the child, in which healthy mitochondria is replaced from another mother. Now, coming to the news, EC seeks end to the nameless donations. As of now, there is no law governing the donations to the political parties. So, the Representation of People's Act says that people who are donating more than 20,000 rupees has to state their names. No anonymous donations can be accepted beyond 20,000. Now, what is being stated is it shall be reduced to 2,000 rupees. And then, Mr. Rawat is appointed as the army chief. Normally, army chiefs are selected on the basis of seniority, and Mr. Rawat supersedes two other people to get into this position. So, is this leading to politicization of the appointment of the post to the army? And is that going to demoralize the functioning of the army? So, this is what question has been put in. So, if the merit has to be the basis to appoint the army chief, then what is the criteria to determine the merit also need to be clearly stated out to keep the politics out of this particular work. So these are the articles which are being stated for, and I have given the notes at the end. You can go through the unmaking of parliament. What are the central tenets of parliamentary democracy? The citizens has to control the representatives, and representatives have to deliberate in the interests of the citizens in the parliament. Disruptions violate this very notion. What are the advantages of a representative democracy over direct democracy? The direct democracy will make the people to involve with day-to-day affairs of the politics, and which is not possible in a complex society. And then, what are the reasons for the weakening of representative democracy? One major thing which can be expressed is about criminalization of politics, disruption of the parliamentary process, and people losing the confidence over the democratic institutions such as parliament. And then, bridging the learning deficit. What are the reasons for the poor learning outcomes? Overburdened curriculum is the major reason, and also poor quality of education. What do you understand by the teaching at the right level means? It means age appropriate learning. Any of the weak learners need to get the special focus before they are being promoted into the next level. And activity based learning means you see, you understand, you practice, and you learn. So, and next is UPS real growth. So, you always, when there is an economic growth, that will be associated with increase in asset prices and also cash in circulation, as India is a cash dominant economy. And India's high denomination currency growth is not a deviation when compared with other countries such as China, US, etc. And this is what we need to discuss today. Thank you very much. All the best.